Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Josh and Jason Monday Christian and Conspiracy Podcast Show. I am your host, Josh Monday. If you don't know me, I'm an Army veteran, Christian rapper, devoted husband and father. And I'd like to introduce you to my co-host. He's a devoted husband, father, and Christian. What's up, Jason?
What's up, man? How's it going?
It's going good. It's going good. Guys, we're trying to do like shows in between now, like maybe 2 or 3 shows a week, 2 shows a week, something like that. So we're going to keep it good. So we have a very special guest for you today. Stephen Isham, and he actually wrote a book called A Moral Certainty, Lee Harvey Oswald Innocent. I'll show you guys the book. Actually, I bought it. He sent me an email and I immediately purchased it because I was super interested in this. How you doing, Steve?
I'm doing good. My last name is Isham. It's German.
Isham.
It stands for, it's German English and it stands for I shame not.
Nice.
So I wrote a Civil War book about the 210 Ishams that fought in the Civil War, but that's another, maybe you'll do
Okay.
on the Civil War.
All right, let's do it. Yeah, I'm down. I'm down. You know, I'll be down for that. So, all right. So Steve, maybe we could just get into this. Let me actually start with my notes real quick. Cause we're a Christian and conspiracy podcast show. So I always like to go over, a verse. The verse I would like to go over is it's going to be a quick and easy one. Exodus 20:13, thou shalt not kill. The way I could kind of relate this to the Bible would be like, Cain killing Abel. We also have Saul trying to kill David, trying to assassinate David in the Bible. So definitely some interesting stuff we're going to go over today. So Steve, I would like you to pretend that my brother and I and my audience is like the jury, and you're like Oswald's defense attorney, and please convince us that Lee Harvey Oswald is innocent or was innocent. I'm sorry. If you can, go ahead and just, you could start. I have a lot of different stuff I can go over as well, but I would definitely since you have probably researched this, crazy.
I started looking at this when it happened. I was in school, elementary school, as a 5th grade. And the lunch bell rang and we didn't come in for lunch or come in from lunch. The teachers didn't come out of the teacher's lounge. And so we just thought, well, let's go play some more. We didn't have any idea, but then all of a sudden it started passing from one kid to another. And
Wow.
we didn't have anything. The only assassination we knew anything about was the Lincoln assassination 100 years before. So we didn't have any way to ground it in our minds of what exactly happened.
Of course.
But then they told us what happened. They said, go on home. They didn't send no note or call anybody. In those days, you just went straight home and you knew you better go home. When I got home, my dad was there. And the only times my dad ever beat me home was the Cuban Missile Crisis a year before this happened, and the Kennedy assassination. So I knew something was really bad. So then my dad's uniform was on the bookshelf, hanging from the bookshelf because he was on call and alert. So that was it. No, we were not. We had.
Where did you live, Steve?
Phoenix, Arizona.
Phoenix. Okay, so you were in Arizona. Okay. Just checking. I want to see where your dad was stationed.
My dad was Air Force.
Okay.
35 years Air Force, civil service.
Wow. Awesome. Amazing. 35 years. That's amazing. So, okay. So, so you were basically, so now you kind of go over your intro of what, where you were at and how it affected you. So do you want to kind of get into the, I don't want you to tell too much about the book, I don't want you to give too much up, but if you could, if you can open it up for us, definitely I'll try to see if we could just get people interested in to purchase the book, wherever you like to start. Go ahead.
Well, I have my notes here for this.
Perfect.
Can I ask a question? When did you start? What age were you skeptical about the whole thing? Like, I know you heard about it when you were a young kid, but when did it click that was like, okay, something's not right, something that sounds kind of fishy? And at that time, was the media not reporting? What were they reporting about? Like, because I know you probably grew up around the time that you know, that because you grew up at the time around it happened. So what was it like? Was it kind of like how it is now when they shut down media, they control media, they make you just believe what you want to believe? Or was it kind of like different journalism back then?
Well, it was black and white TV. There was you saw a lot of stuff that you shouldn't see, but they didn't want you to see. It was kind of like at Disneyland. The stuff's kind of hidden in the back. And
oh yeah.
I was 9 years old, got home, looked at that, and we watched the TV nonstop from that time until he got shot on Sunday. Lee Harvey Oswald got shot on Sunday.
Yeah.
It never, as kids, you know, in those days, we didn't have all these games and pods and everything. So we knew the Marine Corps hymn. We could sing it just because that's what boys did in those days.
Yeah.
So the idea that Lee Harvey Oswald, a United States Marine, had done this, okay, and the man that killed him. So I compare these two in my head. You know, here's a man who risked his life. He was super intelligent. They tried to make him look like he was either mentally ill or mild mental retardation.
Sounds like a lot of the shooters nowadays. You know, they try to do the same thing. They try to paint a picture of them being, you know, Asperger's or taking Prozac or pills. Same exact thing.
Well, when I saw an interview with him, he looked like he was petrified. Like, hey man, please, somebody help defend me. This is not right. And you could tell when somebody's there and not there and they're competent. You saw in his eyes, like, oh man, this guy didn't do it. Something's wrong right now. He didn't look like he even know what's going on. He didn't even know he's charged with murder yet. I don't think. He's just like, what is going on? Like, I shot the president. Are you kidding me? Like, this isn't right. I didn't do this. I swear to you.
I think he knew stuff. I don't know how old he was, but I think he knew that something wasn't right. You know, he was not on the 6th floor. Yep. He was on the 2nd floor talking to Geraldine Reed. And when the 3 shots were fired, those two she was sitting at her desk. He was getting changed for the pop machine.
Yep.
And so he went to the pop machine after that. Well, next thing, you know, he's in there, and then the police officer and the manager of the Texas School Book Depository, they saw him. They said, oh yeah, no, he's one of the employees. They went on upstairs. Through what I've read and seen, people say he went out the front door. There's a gentleman by the name of Brennan. And when you look at his lie detector test, he was lying when he said that he had gone out. He'd seen him go through the front door.
Front door, yeah.
Went down to the 1st floor and went out the dock. And that was the thing that really got to me, was that, you know, would you go out the front door? Okay, you shot the president of the United States. You don't go out the front door. There was hundreds of people. There was mayhem everywhere. Yeah. And Buell Wesley Frazier was the 19-year-old, again, 19. And he is the one that I got this, a link to it. And I've listened to videos for hours and hours since I was 9 until I'm 68 now.
Yeah.
Movies.
I'm here, not since I was 9.
Yeah, and research and everything. There's a video of Buell Wesley Frazier, and he's talking, and the person like you, he says, well, when was the last time you saw Lee Harvey Oswald? Well, he slipped up after all these years, and he said, well, I went out the front, or was outside. He went to the corner of Elm and Houston and stood on that corner, and there was a woman with him. I couldn't find the name of the woman, but he talks about then And so the guy says, well, when was the last time you saw him? Well, he was coming out of the loading dock, heading south on Houston.
Yeah.
When they saw each other, Lee Harvey Oswald crossed to the east side of Houston. Then he walked on, then he turned left going north and disappeared into the crowd. And then we know that he got on the bus and then he moved, so he got on.
Quick question.
Yeah.
So I heard that he actually skipped the first taxi and gave it to a lady. Like a taxi came up. I heard that he actually gave the first car to a lady, which is a Marine would do, right? That's what we would do. We would say, all right, go ahead and take it. So if he, that's a red flag right there. If he shot the president and he's trying to book it out of there and pow Hana as quick as he can, he's going to take that first taxi and roll. But I just wanted to add that in there to
well, I'm surprised that in looking at it as what happened before the actual shooting, they rerouted. When the Secret Service does things, they do it to where they know everything about that block. They know everything what's going on. They know everybody who works there. They know that Lee Harvey Oswald is a Marine and he works in that area right there. So they know where he works. They know that whole thing. But then they change it up. They change up the whole parade. And they change the direction of it and they take a different route. And now you got a whole different scenario to where it's like, hey, what? No, we just trained for this. Now you want us to do this? Do it all together at the last minute, and now you got a route. You had him wearing a certain. He had the only red roses in the car. He only had the only black Cadillac that was in around every. It was just like they knew he was like set up. That's set up. It's like a target. You're gonna put a target. If you're a shooter, you know. Okay, I'm waiting for it. They say, okay, look for the red roses. Boom. Boom, he pops out of the whole crowd, red roses, and you're like, okay, now I have a target, now I have everything, and then everything goes down that way. There's not enough time for that guy to Lee Harvey Oswald to do all that stuff and not be sweating and looking like you're disoriented going through this whole situation.
And then Steve also didn't the police see Lee Harvey Oswald and he wasn't even sweating or anything in the book depository before he left? Or was this?
I didn't find anything about that. No, I don't. The only one that knows anything about where he was Geraldine Reed. And for whatever reason, she testified, but they just kind of ignored it. That was the other thing that was odd.
Of course.
Some people were listened to, and others they took their stuff.
Whoever went along with the Warren Commission's narrative, they will listen to. Everybody that had anything that was opposite of that, they would. A lot of them died, and they wouldn't listen to him whatsoever. So
they wanted to push that case as fast as they possibly could through. I can't believe like this is such like this is something that we have to go through. This is like the first thing that really caught my attention, that the government really doesn't care about you at all. They will snuff you out. And you know what? Lee Harvey Oswald probably knew something. He was going to come clean. He's like, you know what? When that happens, when you're in there and you know something, they're going to kill you. They want you out. They want you dead. And look what happened. They have another patsy to put on that. They have two. Everyone was a patsy. I feel bad for Lee Harvey Oswald because I can see the fear in his eyes. He didn't even look like, he's like, I don't even know what's going on.
Cool. Steve, keep going with your timeline. I like the timeline. I have a timeline as well, and I'm kind of matching it to what I have, and it's going along pretty good. So,
let me interject this. There's a famous Marine sniper by the name of Craig Roberts, and he was in a book, Kill Zone, The Snipers Look at Daily Plaza, and his quote was, "So if I couldn't, I reasoned Oswald couldn't." And they're talking about the shot. The other thing, I'm trying to remember, Joshua, is it?
My name is Josh. Yes, sir.
The other gentleman.
Oh, Jason.
Yeah, Jason, yes.
It was plotted out. The windows were open. It was just totally away from any procedures that they had in place.
Even the guy that owns the book depository, if you guys look into that gentleman, the vice president, Lyndon Johnson, actually knew this gentleman. His last name is Bird. I have him in my notes. Hold on, let me just pull it up really quick.
But I know what you're saying. The guy shooting, or that sniper is saying, if I can't make that shot, there's no way that Lee Harvey Oswald can make that shot. That's a moving vehicle from at least what, like how far was it? Like a couple 100 yards away?
No. Go to Daily Plaza. When I went there, I was just, I mean, you could throw a rock and hit him. That space is so small that it just, it's just amazing. You just kind of like, oh my God, all of this happened in this little space and nobody knew.
Yeah. So
before they turned on to Elm, people say, well, why didn't he shoot him head on? He had a straight shot at his head coming that way. But when they made that turn onto Elm, one, it slowed it down. The other thing that you can look at is Elm goes down at a slant and to go under the triple overpass.
Yes.
My theory that I put at the end of the book is the shooter was in a boxcar on the overpass. It gave him the height, because I measured it when I was there.
Yeah.
Get inside that, and it gets you the angle to get away from the angle. It sets up the angle because the road's going down and you're going up. So that first shot went through the throat.
Yeah.
12 doctors and 4 medical staff all said that it was an entrance wound.
Yes.
Everybody turns around that it's not, it's an exit wound. But that it wasn't an exit wound until he got to the hospital in Washington, D.C.
Yes, which Gerald Ford actually he likes to mess with the autopsy. Gerald Ford, obviously you guys know, 32nd degree Freemason. Okay, if you want to get in the conspiracy side of things.
He was also that video.
Hold on, Jason.
Down?
Wait, hold on, Jason. Stop real quick. So he was Bohemian Grove, Freemason, all secret society. He also became the president. So you see where he got positioned. So go ahead, Jason.
But his head explodes, man. Whatever she got shot with, Oswald's rifle from that far away, they're saying is not going to do that to his head. I'm telling you, that wouldn't look like that. That's a close range shot that I mean, his head was gone. His head was gone.
The brain in the autopsy too. Go ahead.
The moment that first shot hit his throat, the train started to move and the police had to stop that train. Okay. Boxcars have doors on both sides. So to throw that rifle out the back of the train car to people waiting on Elm Street on the other side of the triple overpass, there's the rifle gone.
Yeah.
So, but that angle gives you the best shot, the longest time, and the easy getaway.
For the first shot in the neck.
For the first shot in the neck.
Okay.
Everything I can find is that there was an estimated four
Same
shots.
here. That's what I heard too.
Okay. I also talk in the book, there was supposedly, or some experts say the first shot came as a warning. That's what flew all the pigeons off of the top of the.
Is that the ricochet shot that hit the floor?
No,
hit the concrete?
That one came
after
behind at a second floor level. So the Dow building. So lost my train of thought.
It's okay. You said that there was 4 shots. First one was a warning shot. Pigeons flew up. What's the second shot? Go ahead.
The other thing to think about is you look at that Texas School Book Depository. What was on top of it? A clock.
Yeah.
Exactly 12
o'clock or 12:30, right? Yeah.
So when that clock turned to 12:30, if there wasn't a shot from the top of the Texas School Book Depository, that 12:30 popping up there that told everybody what they needed to do and how they needed
Yeah.
to do it.
Yes.
Look at the Warren Commission. Every single person on that Warren Commission hated John F. Kennedy.
Yep.
He fired some of them. Now look, Nixon was part of this. Ford was part of this.
Yep.
So you're looking at three. Bush was part of this. So you're looking at three presidents of the United States.
Future presidents. And all of them, the crazy thing is, every single one of those presidents too have been Secret Service as well. So let's go with George Bush. He's Skull and Bones. Gerald Ford, like I said, Bohemian Grove, Bilderberg Group, and 32nd degree Mason. Richard Nixon was the Order of Red Friars, which is like the Duke. Skull and Bones is Yale, and then the Order of Red Friars is Duke, which he went to. Lyndon Johnson, Freemason. Okay, also. The Warren Commission, we got 5 out of 7 of the Warren Commission are Freemasons, and Earl Warren is actually a loyal of the Order of Booze. He's the Grand Master of the Freemason in the state of California. So he's actually one of the top Grand Master Freemasons. So 5 out of 7. You also have, like you mentioned, Alan Dulles, which was also a member of the commission, and he was fired by John F. Kennedy. Lyndon Johnson
crisis, the Bay of Pigs.
Yes,
he was the one that planned that and set up Kennedy to take the fall of that, not giving the servicemen there.
So we got okay, let's do this real quick. J. Edgar Hoover, who was the leader of the FBI, the director, 33 degree Mason. Okay, guys, his office right now. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Neighbors of who?
Neighbors of who? I'm not sure who.
Lyndon Baines Johnson.
Oh, he was neighbors with them?
They lived across the street from each other.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So listen to this, guys. Okay, so and then also
I did not know that.
Okay, the gentleman that owned the book depository, which I was going to, was Harold Byrd. Okay, that's actually Admiral Byrd, Jason, which you know who he is. Admiral Byrd's
no way.
Admiral Byrd's cousin, dude.
No
and then
way.
He was also a Freemason. Admiral Byrd is also a Freemason. So Lyndon Johnson is actually friends with this gentleman, and he actually owned a military industrial complex company. What is it? Defense company. Okay, so he owned a company that's going to make money off of the Vietnam War. Lyndon Johnson also had money invested in. Hold on. Okay,
so that Oliver Stone movie about it was kind of close to it.
Yes,
kind of on point about it.
And
Lyndon Johnson
just like
had money.
Found out who that guy was. It came out like a couple days ago that guy that was in the movie that sits. I can't remember the actor.
The Joe Pesci character?
No.
Okay, sorry.
The
Tommy Lee Jones character, huh?
No. Sutherland. Donald Sutherland.
Donald Sutherland, okay.
Yeah, they come out and say who that was. Now, the Watergate break-in was not for political reasons.
No.
Yeah.
It was because the person who was going there for psychiatric care spilled the guts. So Nixon had to send those people there to get those documents and get that stuff out of there. This is all
3 Jesuits, and the gentlemen were 3 Jesuits that went in there too. Lyndon Johnson too. Let's go with this, man. He was okay. So he had money in Bell Helicopter. Bell Helicopter is a civilian name for the military name H-13 Psyox. So that is going to be helicopters that's used in Vietnam. Obviously, he made millions off the Vietnam War. He was the president during the time that the Gulf of Tonkin incident happened, which is a false flag that got us to declare war on Vietnam and start bombing. So he pushed us into Vietnam. John F. Kennedy wanted out of Vietnam. The military industrial complex obviously didn't want that. They wanted us to go into war. So there was so many enemies that John F. Kennedy had, and Lyndon Johnson was the type of person that never liked to be in second place. He always wanted to be in first place. He was the minority Senate leader, also the House of Representatives leader. He was trying to get, to the top as much as he could, and as fast as he could. And he also ducked. There's a video, dude. There's a photo of him ducking before the first shot too. He's ducking down already. Lyndon B Johnson. There's a lot of stuff that maybe I think he knew about what was going to happen. In my opinion.
Come on, yeah, dude. That's you got to be stupid if you don't think that, dude. You got to be like, hey, his wife wore the dress, the same. She didn't change her clothes because to that inauguration where he was sworn in. And they asked her, why'd you still wear that outfit? She said, because I wanted them to see what they did to my husband. I wanted them to see what they did to my husband there. And they were fighting with her to get that guy out, get that dead body out of the morgue to go start autopsying it, go take it to wherever they wanted to, just go hide wherever they wanted. That was a serious flop, big time. It was just like everything was just it was like if you didn't look at that and did not think that there was something fishy about it, you were just like the people today, just brainwashed and just telling you to do whatever you're told and follow whatever it is. Don't ask questions. But
go ahead, Steve.
There's a list of people that had a motive.
Perfect.
You got to find out. There was 4 major organizations, and you talked about this, Josh. One, the military industrial complex.
Yes.
Then the Central Intelligence Agency.
Yep.
Federal Bureau of Investigation, Director Herbert Hoover.
Mm-hmm.
And then organized crime. The individuals who benefited from Kennedy's assassination. One, Lyndon B Johnson, J. Edgar Hoover, General Ed Lansdale, Carlos Marcello, Santos Trafficante, Sam Giancana, Clint Murchison, Bell Helicopters, General Dynamics, H.L. Hunt, Richard M. Nixon, Billy Sorrell Estes, Malcolm Max Wallace, George Herbert Walker Bush, Santos Trafficante Jr., Carlos Marcello, Fidel Castro, Cuban freedom fighters, Texas oil industry, Hale Box, John Sherman Cooper, Alan Dulles, Gerald Ford, John McCloy, Richard B. Russell, and Earl Warren.
Yes.
That's just a short list.
So you were talking about the Texas oil. That's the gentleman Bird. I can never remember his first name.
Bush is in that too now. He's involved in Texas oil as well.
Yes, the gentleman that owned the book depository.
CIA. Hoover was head of the FBI. You have Lyndon B Johnson was who
the vice president.
He was the vice president. He was getting. I'm sorry, man. It's hard to remember. And they're all like collusion. That's all collusion against one man. You mentioned
the Texas oil. So the owner of the book depository, David Harold Byrd. I always go back to him because obviously I think what happened is all they have to do literally is talk to this gentleman. He's a Freemason as well. They're all part of this, secret society. They're obviously they can set it all up. Through this building, he knows exactly who works for the building. He knows that, Lee Harvey Oswald was working with the CIA. There's kind of some evidence there that he was, not saying that he was hired to kill president. Okay. I think he was just hired, like everybody said, just as a patsy, but what a perfect setup.
The president getting assassinated though. There are a lot of people died in this situation. Marilyn Monroe died from this stuff. They got her because of this stuff. Who else? Who else?
Oil. Go back to the oil.
Yes.
Texas was getting the oil subsidy from the federal government. Okay. Kennedy was going to do away with that. Would have really hurt financially the state of Texas and the oil industry.
And he was there to make up. That's why he was in Texas. He was trying to make up with the Texas people to get the vote, right? Yeah. So also he was trying to go back to the gold standard, correct? So the Federal Reserve was also mad at him, which those are big players. Those are like Illuminati people that are actually running the world, and he wanted to go the gold standard instead of the fiat currency. So that's something that is really, was really huge for, a big reason why to do it as well.
He hadn't been assassinated. We wouldn't have had a Vietnam. We wouldn't have had all of these other wars in Afghanistan and all of these things. And you look at Bush again, if there wasn't enough evidence for us to go in there, why didn't we go into there? 30,000 plus men and women died in Vietnam.
50,000, right? 54,000, I believe, isn't it? Something like that.
That number.
Yeah. So you were just doing it for sure. Yeah. I think, and then also the CIA at the time was actually involved in drugs, heroin, stuff like that. And he was going to expose the CIA for that as well. Besides the Bay of Pigs thing, which is huge, he was also going to expose the CIA and stop the selling of the drugs. I guess what they were trying to do is sell the drugs so that they could pay for all the black projects they were doing, because they couldn't get some of them financed through the Senate, so they're doing black projects, which is secret projects. So yeah, and like you said, the mafia, because Robert Kennedy, his brother, was trying to come down hard on the mafia. Mafia also had casinos in Cuba, right? So he was trying to shut all those down, so they were going to lose money that way. It was just like a whole cocktail of evil that were all wanted him to pass away, and the secret societies as well, because he was saying that he's going to expose the secret societies. Nothing's going to happen in secret, and it just
you gotta watch what you say when you're a president. You gotta watch what you say, because I think stuffed out for that.
I believe that he I kind of listened to someone talk about this, but I do believe that he was trying to have an honest presidency, and it was actually trying to be a president. And I guess when you get in that position, if you're not a puppet to the I guess you could say establishment or the Illuminati or the high ups, then they actually executed this gentleman in public, right in front of an obelisk as well. There's one it's delays
in front of his wife, man.
Yeah. Just
in front of you got some balls to do that.
I had a question for you, Steve. What do you think about the William Greer? Did you ever see that video where people were saying that the William Greer reached back and with the pistol and shot Kennedy from did you ever hear that? He was the driver.
I've heard of that, but the idea, you kind of look at this and say, okay, what's the common sense? Just like Oswald didn't go out the front door. Nobody would be dumb enough to go out the front door with hundreds of people, police everywhere, FBI, Dallas Police Department, all over the place. It just didn't happen.
Did you see the video? That was it was the all the way through video. What it is they took out some clips off the one that they were normally showing us, and then now they have the full version. I don't know. I mean, you can't obviously tell because it is not like an HD. So, but that was a poor
shoes. You've got people with cameras, 8mm movie cameras.
Yeah,
they're going to turn around and shoot the president in the head. No.
Yeah,
I know I think everybody agrees that shot came from the grassy knoll.
Okay.
Everybody ran there.
Yes, a lot of people. Yeah, I was just asking. I got to try to go over each equation here. So there's that one. There's another one where somebody said that a Secret Service agent had an AR-15. And they said that maybe he did an accidental discharge. That's another one, which was one of the shots. But I mean, how's that going to be one shot? There's obviously three.
I always try to put myself in their shoes and say, okay, what would I be doing? What would I? My guess is when Johnson hunkered down, that guy stood up. Okay, It was protecting Johnson.
Yeah,
but at least that's what makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's good to use common sense and discernment for sure. And I definitely have to ask you about a couple, just a couple of different things that are out there, just in case they don't, our audience doesn't know. Let me see. And then what is your personal opinion, Stephen? Like, who do you feel like actually put this together? What's your gut feeling of what actually, as far as who is the conspirators that actually put all this together, in your opinion?
Well, the head of the serpent had to be Johnson. Nobody else could pull this off and shut it all down, from the autopsy to films and people getting killed. And And then you had all of those people that are on that list that I just read. They all benefited from that. Johnson was under suspicion and being investigated
for bribery,
all
right?
the stuff that he had done. So he was going to be, and they were going to kick him off the ticket
Yep.
for
Yep.
that next year.
So you think he was the head of the snake? That's kind of like Roger Stone. I think he wrote a book about the Lyndon Johnson part, which he had some really good information out there. But that's who he felt was the head of the snake too. So that's good, man. That's right on track on what I was thinking as well.
So we talked about Howard Brennan. In those days, right now we go into, you get arrested and somebody looks at you, and there's certain procedures and rules for a lineup. In those days, it was called a show up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There was 4 of those show ups, and they violated all the tenets of doing one of those. First thing with that is the officer administrating the lineup is unaware of who the persons are out there.
Uh-huh.
Second, instructions prior to the witness should be instructed that the perpetrator may or may not be in there.
Mm-hmm.
They kept asking, well, don't you see him? Who is it?
Oh, okay.
Third one.
They were leading him into guessing who it was.
Yep.
Okay.
And you should only have one person other than the administrator watching. Number 3, you have to have fillers that are like that person. And when I get into the 4 show ups, you'll see how that was broken. And then confidence system statements. Immediately after an identification is made, you would say, well, okay, Josh, on a scale of 1 to 10, how sure you are that happened.
Yes.
Okay? So those are the 4. Show up number 1. The fill-ins were W.E. Bill Perry, a Dallas police detective. He was in a suit coat. Okay. Second one, Dallas Police Department officer R.L. Clark and jail clerk Don Abels. So you had 3 people. None of them looked like Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah.
Okay. And that, oh shoot, I didn't write it down on this, but in the book, you can find out which witness this was.
Yeah.
Show up number 2. The fill-ins were William Perry and Richard Clark, detectives of the Vice Division, and Don Abels, the clerk of the jail again, all dressed in office attire. Show up number 3. Third show up includes Richard Walker, prisoner, Ellis Carl Brazel, prisoner, and jail clerk Don Abels again. And the 4th lineup was the worst atrocity. The 4th show up fill-in was John Thurman Horn. He was 17 years old. Fill-in David Edmund Knapp, 18 years old. And this one you'll like. The 3rd fill-in was Daniel Gutierrez Lujan, a 26-year-old Mexican male, approximately 170 pounds.
Interesting.
So you got 2 teenagers and 1 Hispanic. None of them look like Lee Harvey Oswald. So they broke all of those 4 tenets
for sure.
Those lineups.
Yeah,
they had multiple people behind in those days, they just shined lights in your face.
Yeah.
With possible people.
Interesting.
So that kind of just, yeah.
Yeah, that throws you off. And then also Oswald, I never heard that either. That's cool. I haven't even heard about that before. That's
a good point.
So also they said that Oswald shot JD Tippet as well. That's another thing, like as he was going down, they said that he was escaping, and they said that Lee Harvey Oswald went back to the house, which is after he got the taxi, grabbed the pistol from his house, got a ride. I guess he was walking down the street, and then he was confronted by a police officer, they say, JD Tippet, and then he ended up shooting him in the chest and then one to the head and then escaping to the movie theater is what they say, right?
Two to the chest,
JD
and one to
Tippet
the
thing.
head.
So Steve,
That's execution style, though.
no, it was one to the chest, one to the head. So JD Tippet, that whole thing. Some people say that JD Tippet looks like a little bit like Kennedy. I've heard. They say that Kennedy's brain was replaced. So because I don't know, I guess in the autopsy they needed like a brain to switch it out because they needed it to kind of fit whatever they were trying to do. I don't know how JD Tippet's brain looked or anything like that, but I just thought it was kind of interesting.
A lot of these things are fog. You throw that fog out there so you don't see the truth of anything.
Yes. They wanted to make him look like he
didn't happen.
Yeah.
I
don't think that Lee Harvey Oswald shot JD Tippet. I definitely don't believe that. Even the witnesses were saying that they supposedly some of the witnesses said that they supposedly saw Oswald shoot JD Tippet. Well, one lady said that she got a good look at him after he killed JD Tippet. He looked Oswald right in the eyes and he kept on walking and then he killed JD Tippet is what she said. Let's see. So he supposedly, I can't remember what she said, man. I had it somewhere. There's another gentleman.
That's all fog.
All fog. For sure.
You go through the book, or it's hard for me to believe that anybody has ever read the Warren Commission report. I read it from cover to cover. It's a big book. And you look at the witness testimony. And so you'll see in the book, it'll be, the interrogator, the lawyer questioning him, and then that person. Nobody saw him kill Tippet.
No.
The two ladies that were in that house, nobody actually saw them. Well, there was one woman, and she was in the car, scared to death. So, you've got all these witnesses, some were asleep, but nobody actually stood there and saw it.
Yeah. They just said they saw him running away from the scene, but didn't say they actually saw it happen. Yeah.
But Tippet pulled up there. He got out of the car because the guy, Oswald, put his head in the car to talk to him. So then the cop got out. Well, whoever it was, if it wasn't Oswald, shot three shots right into his chest.
Yeah.
Then he started to walk away. He came back and shot him in the head with a bullet.
So why would you come back?
That guy's, but he had to make sure that
he was dead because
never would say a word to anybody. And
because he would say that Oswald didn't kill me, didn't shoot me, like that some other guy shot me, right? They had to place it on Oswald.
Read those testimonies of them being questioned by the Warren Commission. And you can't believe any of those people who said they saw it or didn't see it.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I'm only mentioning this part. Just that I wanted to find out your side on the JD Tippet thing, because it's just crazy, man. It's interesting.
Everybody says, "Well, who did it then, Steve?" I don't know who did it. What I do know is Lee Harvey Oswald did not do it.
No.
And I didn't go out to prove that he did or didn't shoot Tippet. That was just my opinion. But the other stuff, there's absolutely no normal court that would have found Lee Harvey Oswald guilty.
No.
And that's why he had to be killed. And then I always make comparisons. So you go back and you say, okay, here's this United States Marine, like I said at the beginning of our conversations. Here's this Marine, okay? Marines don't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now you put him up against Ruby.
Jack Ruby.
Ruby owns a bar. He hangs out with strippers.
Mafia members.
Drinking. All the cops go there to drink and get laid and whatever else they're going to do. So you compare those two people, which one are you going to believe? The United States Marine or somebody that works for the mob?
Yes. Right. 2 weeks before. Let's see. What else do I got here, man? I know I got some stuff to ask you. He's supposedly.
I'm looking at my list while you're thinking that. It was 12 physicians and 3 nurses did not confirm beyond a shadow of a doubt and to a moral certainty that John F. Kennedy was shot from the front or the back. And then years later, I'm talking 25, 30 years later, one doctor did come out and say it was a shot. The other thing that's in the book that's important, I think, is Dr. Charles Baxter was the chief surgeon. He pulled everybody into a room in private and he threatened them. He said, if any doctor sought to publish or profit from any of the medical evidence that was witnessed in treating JFK, he, Dr. Baxter, would not hesitate in seeing that they never practiced medicine again. So those guys were not going to say anything. You've gone to medical school, you busted your butt to do this stuff, and now you're going to have it throw it out. And everyone else is going along with it. I'm just throwing these things out. They're not in the real.
Go ahead.
Robert Tannenbaum was the former deputy chief counsel of the U.S. House Select Committee on Assassinations. His quote was, "The Warren Commission worked from the conclusion backwards. In the investigation, the facts take you to a conclusion."
Yeah.
Oswald was put on there and they did everything they could to make
place the blame on him. Of course. They got a picture of him with the gun. They say that he he lived in Russia. That's where he met his wife. He defected, they said, from the military. They tried to paint a picture of him being such a bad guy. They try to place everything on him, and then they took his gun, probably took his gun from his house, which did have his fingerprints on it. But I guess it was another set of fingerprints. I don't remember who the gentleman was, but I guess he's a gentleman that worked for Lyndon B Johnson. Did you ever hear that? I heard there was one more set of fingerprints there. Yeah. And he happened
I haven't
to be
been able to confirm that, but that's Malcolm.
Me neither.
Not Walt.
There you go. That's the gentleman's name. I guess I have him.
There's no way he can make that shot. I don't care.
Malcolm Wallace is who you're talking about, right?
Yeah, Malcolm Wallace. Now,
there we go. Malcolm Wallace.
If you shoot a gun, there's that residue powders.
Yeah.
Those nitrates and the different things like that. That's the same stuff that you get out of brand new books. You know how you open the newspaper, you read it, you got that black on your hands?
Yes.
That's the same materials that come out when you shoot a gun. Well,
yes.
So he shoots 3 shots at Kennedy, 3 shots into Tippet's chest, and 1 into his head from a handgun and a rifle. And there's not enough on there to incriminate him beyond a shadow of a doubt to a moral certainty.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. I had something about Lee Harvey Oswald's gunpowder on his hand. Go ahead.
Another thing that's kind of hidden in the back of this Warren Commission report is George O'Toole, a formerly head of problem analysis branch of the Central Intelligence Agency, who has made an exhaustive study of the assassination, replayed interviews Oswald gave to both TV and radio newsmen. He used the PSE, the psychological stress evaluator. He says across the board, everything that Lee Harvey Oswald said in the police station and everywhere else was true.
Yeah.
Then it goes into the ones of different other people. So you can read in the book that these different other people who were lying, like Brennan. He goes over, he uses that PSE on Brennan, and he's lying. It talks about a hard stress, which is the highest level of this PSE thing. It was also, I'm trying to look at my note, but anyway, within hours of Lee Harvey Oswald getting arrested, there was a lost my train of thought again.
It's okay. So upon him getting, you said, was there another shooter that got arrested?
Lie detector test.
Oh,
and he passed it.
Lee Harvey Oswald took a lie detector test and passed it?
Yep.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy. That's another thing I didn't even hear about.
Again, it's this George O'Toole guy.
Yeah, that's
Oswald
awesome.
denied shooting anybody, president, the policeman, anybody. The psychological stress evaluator said he was telling the truth. Anyway, in my notes, it talks about how it was Brennan that was lying. The other thing is, I go back to Wesley Buell Frazier. I think that's critical that he came out that Brennan said he had a jacket when he came out the front. He had his jacket on the second floor when he passed Geraldine Reed. So why would he go down to the first floor and go all the way across there to get another jacket?
Yeah.
You know,
and then he said that how did Oswald know exactly when the president would be driving down Elm Street? Well, the route was disclosed to the public 2 days before, but the route was changed at the last minute. They went down Elm Street instead of going down the main street. Funny thing is, the motorcade was 6 minutes late. So if Oswald was supposed to be up there to shoot the president, he was late because there was a witness that worked with him that said that he was in the lunchroom on the second floor, which is the same place the police officer found him 90 seconds after the assassination. So that's
Geraldine Reed.
That's the gentleman you're talking about. Okay.
Oh, lady.
Okay. Oh, that's the police officer?
It was the secretary of the owner of the building.
You have to make those shots, run downstairs.
Marvin Baker.
Run downstairs without sweating, get a Coke, whatever you had to get from the pop machine, and then go out the front door, like without even like, and I'm talking, you'd be frantically running your balls off to get out of there because like, okay, I got to get out of here. So, I don't want nobody, you would be trying to stay calm, but you'd still have you'd still have a weird demeanor by yourself.
It wasn't quiet outside.
No, it wasn't. No, it's probably
were crying and screaming and running, and the train was moving, and police and yeah.
And they're making
Must have been mayhem.
Out to be a secret agent type of guy that was trained by like, you know, M6 or whatever it is from James Bond. Like he's like this highly trained guy that just went to. He looks like a dope head. Like he looks like a dopey dude. Like looks, hey man, what is going on here?
Another connection with this. Lee Harvey Oswald was a radar technician. It's one of the longest, if not the longest, school in the Marine Corps.
So longest AIT. Okay.
My son David, that's what he did in the Marine Corps. Radar, fixing radar, all of that type of stuff. The same exact MOS as what Lee Harvey. You cannot be not functionally high intelligence.
Yeah.
You do that to do that.
I believe
you're not trained to make shots like that as a radar repairman and stuff like that. You're not trained to make a very difficult shot and play the most coolest person in the world. After I find that very hard to believe. I can't even.
How can you miss?
If I get pulled over by a police officer and I'm sober, I start shaking. I'm petrified. I start making signs like I'm. There's no way you're gonna be that calm. There's no way. There's no way you could be that calm. He was like, "What? I'm in trouble. Okay, let's take care of it then. I guess. What's going on?" It's like you're not. You can't be that calm. There's like the cop is like even saying this guy's too calm to have shot somebody.
For sure. Yeah.
Too cool to act like he killed somebody.
I can't remember his name, the investigator who interviewed Oswald, he told everybody that he had thrown his notes away, burned them.
Huh.
That wasn't true. You can find those notes on the internet, and that gives you a whole idea of what was going on. I mean, they jerked him around
in that interrogation room, yeah. Because they had a little part, they just had a little part recorded, which they let the public hear, but they grilled them for hours and hours and hours, right?
Yeah, but there was this is a police station. There was no recording equipment in the building whatsoever.
Okay. Wow.
So everything had to be in those notes. So were his notes his notes of the interrogations came out. They were, oh, you got to read that part of that.
Oh, it's in the book?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Definitely I want to see that. And guys, I don't know if I showed the audience, but this is the book right here. Okay, guys, it's this is it. You can see it, A Moral Certainty. Okay, guys. And this is what the front cover looks like. That's the front page of what she has right behind him right there.
It's awesome.
My mom and dad knew that I was into this since I was in 5th grade. And this is the original newspaper. They had it framed in here.
And look how the media portrays him, a sniper. Look how the media portrays him in that. The Dallas sniper, like, so he ain't no sniper.
Back then, okay. So speaking of the media, real quick, if you guys look into Operation Mockingbird, the CIA was already, running the media, so anything the CIA wanted the media to say, they're going to say it. So if they say it's going to be Oswald, and this is the script,
like a very horrible person already.
But they were not sophisticated like the news people now. If you look at those videos where they're scrambling around, the machines aren't working, it's a zoo for them. Yeah. So the idea that you could really find out anything.
They knew exactly who it was right away. Yeah. Within 45 minutes, I heard, or something like that. They
I know. Cops can't even find anything nowadays. They found that dude in 30 seconds flat. Oh, yeah, the case closed. Case closed. Done. Wrap. It's a wrap. After 20 minutes of research.
Look at what the police and the people do now. Look at that poor Rittenhouse kid.
Yeah.
I mean, they wanted to hang him, and there wasn't even a trial yet. Even the
I know. The media hung him. I feel bad for him. I felt, man. What puzzled me was like, why did his mom drive him to the other side of the border or whatever that was, the other state line? Why would she
remember when you were 19 years old? It's you just graduated from high school. You're either going to college in the Marines or getting a job.
Yeah.
And it's.
Well, I commend him. I would have done the same thing. I'm sorry. Self-defense is self-defense.
So what was up? I think, is that who it was? Edwin Walker. Did you know about that guy? I guess that was a failed assassination attempt on this gentleman. Is that, I don't know if that's the same guy or if I'm on the right one.
He's a general, and a few days before, supposedly Lee Harvey Oswald went there by bus.
Okay. There we go. So there was a shot through the window, right?
When was the last time you rode the bus with a rifle?
I know, exactly. See, this is something I wanted to bring up because they try to paint that he was the one that went and tried to assassinate Edwin Walker. So they're already painting a picture of him, just part of the fog that you're talking about, right? So people go, oh, all right, well, yes, he is a bad guy. He went there and tried to kill this general, So yeah, that's something I had on my notes that I thought was pretty interesting to bring up for sure. That's what they do, man.
They went back in all of his like school records and stuff, and he had been in facilities like treatment centers or group home type of stuff. And the psychologist said he was above average intelligence, probably around 118 IQ. And it doesn't ring true. You've got all these other people, and they picked on this one guy.
Yes. Let's see, what else do we got here? What about John Conley? What do you think his involvement in this was?
I think he knew it was going to happen, but when he got shot, he said something about, they're going to kill us all. He thought he was going down with Kennedy, so he'd be out of the way, be one less witness.
I thought it was interesting that he was campaigning for Lyndon B Johnson. They were kind of close. I thought that was pretty interesting. And
Texas has always been almost like a country in its own. Matter of fact, one of the senators from Texas said that if it continues the way it is, that Texas would succeed.
Yeah. So this is interesting. So Conley, okay.
The second time.
When Richard Nixon was president, he appointed Conley, which is the gentleman that was in the vehicle and got shot, just so our audience knows. He was the governor of Texas at the time when the assassination happened. Okay. So he appointed Conley as the Treasury Secretary. Conley presided over the removal of the US dollar from the gold standard. So we were speaking about that earlier. So Conley was the Treasury Secretary. So when Nixon became president, he actually removed the US dollar from the gold standard in 1971. I thought that was pretty interesting because the Federal Reserve obviously wanted that to happen. Conley got in that position and actually pulled it. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
It's just this close knit, like the list I read off.
Which is great. I wish I had that list beforehand, man. I would have broke down each individual person and just kind of like, because I want to look at what ties they have to any type of secret society, Freemason, Bohemian Grove, any of that type of stuff, Trilateral Commission, CFR. If I could try to link all that stuff up, you could see what they put first, where their loyalty lies. Their loyalty lies, obviously, and then all these people are in secret society, so they know how to keep a secret. They're not going to break. They go to their meetings and they do what they do. And then they come home to their wife and never tell their wife about anything that they're doing in their meetings and stuff. So yeah, I just thought that was very interesting. Super interesting. I know I got some more notes to bring out. The timeline. So, all right. Anything else any smoking gun that you felt like 100% like, hey, this is definitely pushing towards Oswald being innocent? Did you have any smoking gun that you thought like definitely for sure 100% that this is definitely gonna break the case?
I think going off the loading dock and being exposed by somebody who was kind of going along with that Oswald did this. Uh-huh. But when I heard him say that in a interview place, I thought, what did he just say? So I played it over and over again. And I thought, if Brennan's lying, according to this expert, George O'Toole, mm-hmm. And Wesley Buell Frazier was lying.
Yeah.
When but again, he was 19 years old.
Yeah.
I remember 19 years old in Texas in 1963. There was nothing. There was no computers, cell phones, none of that stuff.
Yeah. So it's like nowadays it's so much more difficult to do something like this, like I think because we have everybody has a cell phone, everyone has a camera. So it would just be a whole different ball game to try to pull this thing off,
Where you were going off that one leg was that's deep. When you start researching that like you're doing, uh-huh. The number, how these people click together is just, it was more.
It's insane. It's insane. Like
totally another book that you'd have to do to show all of these connections between Bell Helicopter and all. It just,
yeah. What you have to do is we have several episodes like on on Illuminati, the bloodline, like the 13 families, the Royal Masonic families. Like once you start uncovering and peeling back the onion and finding out like who's really running stuff, and then like you got the Jesuits, the Pope, the White Pope, the Gray Pope, it just blows your mind. But once you find out what's really going on behind the scenes, and you find out that the president of the United States is just a puppet, everyone thinks he's the most powerful man in the world, but you're just like, yeah, right. You just find out like what's really happening. Then you can take a conspiracy like this and dig deep like that and say, how can I take this to secret societies, to Freemasons, to Skull and Bones, Bohemian Grove, all these different ways. And I thought you brought that up, was pretty interesting how you brought up Nixon, Gerald Ford, and George Bush were all in Texas when this happened, all of them. And Gerald Ford was what was the one that messed up the autopsy, that kind of.
Every president from Johnson to the present will not release. No, what is this? 58 years.
Yeah.
Okay. What are they hiding that cannot be released?
Yeah.
Other than the truth. But, Trump, he said, "Oh, I'll let it out. I'm going to tell everybody."
Of course. Yeah. He was
And at the last
trying to do the
minute, he
same.
failed.
Of course. Yeah.
Then what? October 26th, I think, of this year, Biden was supposed to release it. The slam dunk. No.
Oh, we forgot to tell our audience today is November 22nd, and it's actually the anniversary. And Stephen actually told us, hey, we got to do it today. It's the anniversary of John F. Kennedy being shot. Just wanted to tell the audience that, just in case you guys didn't know.
I totally forgot about that. That's crazy.
November 22nd, 1963 was when it happened. So,
and look how quiet it was this time. There wasn't a whole bunch of shows on television or even on the internet. It was all stuff that was years old.
Well, I've been watching it for the last 5 days. So
forget about it. They make you forget about it.
Everything
like you erase history. Easy to erase history. You probably bring that up to somebody that's like 20 years old. They're like, Kennedy wasn't. Who's Kennedy? What are you talking about? President Joe Biden's president.
Our dad loved John F. Kennedy, and he's the one that got us into this when we were kids, and just so there's an interesting thing I could bring up. I think I brought it up on our last episode of Kennedy assassination, but I thought it's pretty interesting, man. It's like if you look at it from like it being kind of like a ritual, so it happened on Elm Street, and then they say the elm tree is popular in mythology around the world, symbolizing victory, man's achievement of goals. It's spiritual meaning and uses for it. I thought that was kind of interesting. The Delay Plaza is named after, obviously he's a Freemason. If you guys look into that, the obelisk has 14 stones. 14 is the number of pieces of Osiris was cut into, and I guess they couldn't find the pieces. One of the piece, which is supposed to be his, I'll just say his penis. So, and that's what the obelisk represents. There's one in actually Washington D.C. too, and then also in the Dallas, and then in New York. November 22nd, 1963. If you add up, November is the 11th month, and then you add 22 to that, then you get 33. That's 33 is like 33-degree Mason, so that's pretty interesting. And then you were talking about it happening at 12:30. That's when the sun is at its most highest point, and there's everything has to do with sun worship when it comes to these secret societies and stuff. So it's just interesting, man. I don't really get into this a lot of that type of stuff, but I just thought it was. And then also they say that Dallas is on the 33rd parallel. As another thing, which is all occult symbolism. 33 is obviously the highest degree of Freemasonry. So I just thought some of that stuff is just, it's all that stuff.
That being a coincidence.
There's no coincidence. There's no coincidences here, dude, for sure.
But that being a coincidence is astronomically
impossible.
Yes. So that's how you know that when you put it in the numbers don't lie, bro. So when you put that together, that's like
there we go.
That's like 15 hole-in-ones.
This is such a big elephant that you have to take one piece at a time, and just like Josh said, you go off on this. I have to say,
it's crazy.
But if you go off on that and look at all of the people that own buildings and who got him the job, and
it's crazy. You can just go into all different areas. But that list that you had, is it in the book?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna have to find that because I would love to just go through each individual. What happens when we're researching the original show for the Kennedy assassination? I literally was just finding just piece after piece after piece that I could literally mention and connect together. It was insane. I was trying to go back to my notes. I think his wife was also the leader of the FCC at the time, Lyndon Johnson's wife. I thought that was pretty interesting because she controlled what was happening in the media. Basically, did you know that she was the leader of the FCC at the time?
No, because he was always kind of in the background of the
See,
stuff that I looked at.
I had that somewhere. I need to pull that up because I want to make sure I'm 100% on this.
FCC won't let me be.
Oh man, where's it? Oh, own the FCC. Oh, I guess it said Lyndon Johnson's wife actually owned the FCC, not even just the leader of it. She actually owned the FCC, which is if you guys don't know what the FCC is, let me just say
That's like the whole. That's they run anything on air. Anything goes on air, they're taking care of it.
Yes.
Own the FCC. That's a federal.
It's the Federal Communications Commission. It regulates international communications by radio, television, wire, satellite, cable of all 50 states. So that is something that I thought I could definitely bring up. That's it. That's it. So if she's running that part, it's just it just gets deeper and deeper, guys. And she was very rich and wealthy. Her family, the Bird family, was they had money for sure. Go ahead, Steven. I think you were going to say something. I don't want to stop.
No, yeah, I mean, there's so many legs of this, pieces of the puzzle. You got to just take a little bit, put the pieces together, and then it'll come around to where you can see what actually happened.
For sure. Email me, if you could, email me, Steven, your the title of your other book, so I could kind of look into that one too. When you get a chance, just email it to me so I could look it up on Amazon.
It's
get you.
It's I Shame Not.
Okay.
Our name was German, like I said at the beginning, our name was German English. And so I started going back through, my grandfather was born in 1877.
Okay.
And so
cool.
I shined shoes. I didn't really go into myself at all. I was a teacher for 45 years. I taught everything from kindergarten to people getting a master's degree at the university.
Wow. How interesting.
I love teaching, retired now. So I've done.
Thank you for your service. That's a service to the kids, and you took care of, obviously you had so many different classes out of 45 years. Wow. Thank you. We appreciate that.
And we don't teach history. That's why the kids don't know anything. You ask them, who's Kennedy?
I know.
Yeah.
So Rockefeller, they bought the educational system, so they just control what people learn.
Story. That's a different show.
Yeah, different show. I know. Anyways, anything else, Steve, you want to tell our audience? I think we're about an hour and 10 minutes in.
Just get the book and read through it. If you find any mistakes, let me know.
For sure.
I don't think there was. I cut and pasted directly out of the Warren Commission. I put a source to anything that I used. Used a lot of common sense. It's time for this to be closed.
Yes.
So that we can go on with history. But again, it's all the smoke and fog of this. We spend all this time on critical race theory, but we don't know the months of the year. Most of these kids are not graduating with the ability to have any marketable skills. It's just really sad.
Yeah.
My son in the Marines, and now he teaches high school, and he loves it, but he's good at it.
Tell all your sons, man, and everybody that's in the military on your family, we said thank you for their service, and I'm sure my audience would be saying the same. But
my uncle landed on Omaha Beach.
Wow.
D-Day. My other uncle was in the Pacific as a corpsman on the ships.
All military family, man. It sounds like very interesting.
Look back in history, we're linked to the Lincoln family.
Wow.
So that's
interesting
in that book. But I'll send you the stuff for.
Please do. And guys,
first book I wrote was the Child and Family Advocacy, and it helps parents to navigate every single system that you could possibly go into.
So guys, support the book.
Heck
Books
yeah.
are on Amazon. I did them as an ebook first, so that would be cheap. As cheap
Okay.
as possible, and then they're also paperback.
Perfect. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm so happy that we got connected. Jason, did you have any more questions before we get off?
Man, this is good. This is cool, man. I like this.
Yeah, it was an interesting episode.
Email me if you come across something. Email me.
I will for sure.
Plug that piece of puzzle in and share what I've got.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna end this in prayer, guys, like we always do. Father God, in the name of Jesus, thank you so much for having Stephen on the show. We just ask that anybody that's listening, feel free to please help them to look into this, digest it. I know it's just a whole bunch of evil, and Satan was definitely the head of the snake. And please expose it for us. You know, we're trying to use discernment here, Lord. It was just something huge in history for America, and there's a lot of secret society, devilish, satanic stuff that's involved in this. We just ask that you please, we just want to thank you for giving us a clear connection. We really appreciate you, Lord, and anybody out there that needs prayer. I know that some people probably do. You know what they need, Lord, so please help them. We love you. Thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
All right. Thank you, guys. Hey,
God bless you, brother.
God bless you. Thank both of you guys. I appreciate you guys coming on.